Hello, welcome to Google Drawings. If you're watching this video, maybe you were absent and you missed us walking through some of these steps together in class, or maybe you were in class but you would just like a refresher on Google Drawings. So here is my teacher example of a basic format of what you're going to be doing. You're going to use Google Drawings to create a timeline. Google Drawings is good for doing timelines or putting in visuals or pictures and showing things that way. So if you need to do a timeline or you wanted to do a picture and have lots of shapes and things and make it pretty fancy, Google Drawings would be a good place to do that. If you're looking more to crunch numbers and calculate things, that's going to be a place where you want to use Google Sheets, and that we're going to do in a couple weeks. But for now, let's take a look at Google Drawings in class. I think it was about 50-50 that have used it, have not used it. So let's find out about this option as well. As you'll see, I've asked you to create your perfect day. And in your perfect day, you're going to have a timeline where you're going to use an object to make your timeline. And then you're going to list 8 different things that would be on your perfect day. Now, I just want to note that you cannot say play video game, play video game, play video game, play. You cannot use the same activity 8 different times. You need to come up with 8 different things that you'll do on that perfect day. And then once you list those 8 things, you'll tell me what time that's going to happen, and then you'll point on the timeline so I know. You'll accompany it with a picture, and like I said, the arrows. So overall, you're going to make a nice, creative, visually appealing timeline that would show your very best day. Okay, so where do we start, Miss D? If you can tell, and it's kind of light unless you look out by the white, the first thing we're going to do is, actually, we need to make the document first. Let's not even jump into color. First thing I need to do is get the document. So I'm going to go back here. I am in my drive. I'm in 7th grade technology, or whatever you called it. You're in your units. You're in Unit 1 productivity. And then let me go back. You have a folder that's Google Docs. We did that last. If you do not have a Google Drawings folder, please pause this video and do that now. Okay, if you're back or you're waiting, let's do it. So once you have a Google Drawings folder, go ahead and double click that. In my folder, I have a few things, but in yours, you won't. So let's get you something in yours, in your folder. So you're going to go to New. We did Google Docs. Google Sheets is later. Google Slides is later. If we hit More, though, you will see that Google Drawings is right here. So I'm going to double click that, and I get my page up. First thing I want to do, please, we're trying to be good about this and keep things organized. I'm just going to title it what it is, and it's my perfect day. That way I can easily find it when I go to upload it. So I'm just going to call it my perfect day, and now it's titled, and it makes Miss D happy when we do that first. Next, I have a page, and you'll see that it's kind of old style, like back when we had the old TVs that were small. This is the small page that you would have used. Now we can use a wide screen with this, with Google Drawings. And so I want to change my page setup. So if I go to File, Page Setup, the standard, which has always been, is 4:3 ratio. I want to move from the standard and go to the widescreen. I'm going to pick the 16:9. Are you sure you want that? Yep, hit OK. Now I have a nice wide canvas. And if I go back, just like that, nice wide canvas. You can't really see it well on my screen, but if you have like a checkerboard looking background, that is because it's transparent. So instead of working on a white piece of paper, when you see those blocks, it just means, or the checkerboard, it's transparent. It's like looking through transparent piece of paper that you could see through. So now that we're ready to go, the first thing I want to do, which I wanted to jump into a minute ago, was put color on my canvas. So when I'm here, if I right click, doesn't matter where I right click, I get a background option, and I'm going to pick a color, purple. And you can pick any color, check it out. So I use purple here too. I have my background color. The next thing I want to do is put my title on. And the cool thing about Google Drawings is I'm not just going to type it in. I get to use something called word art, which it doesn't, the program really doesn't see it as words. It kind of sees it as an image. So because it sees it as an image, I'm going to go down here, insert word art. Once I type in the title, which is my perfect day, I'm going to hit enter. And now when I show you some of these options, you'll understand why the program kind of sees it as a picture, because now I can take this and I can go to my paint bucket and say, that's kind of boring. Maybe I want pink. That doesn't show up really well. Let me get something that shows up a little bit better. My perfect day. Maybe I want to make this outline of the letters thicker. So if I go next door, next door, if I go to the border weight, I'm going to click on that. If I do 3-point, if I do 12-point, whoa, that took away a lot. If I go back to 8-point, now I have a nice blend. I can also go to the font, and I can mess with the fonts, which is always super fun. So there's my perfect day. It's kind of off the page. I'm going to bring it in a little, and now I like it. Let me show you something about page setup. So if I click on this, and once I see this box up, now I can grab it and move it. If I move it, do you see the vertical line up and down? That means that it is perfectly centered from left to right. If I move it left and right, or if I move it up and down, you'll see that I got a red line. If I keep moving it, and I get both red lines, that means it's perfectly centered all the way around my page. And if I let go, now it's centered in my page. But for this, I decided I would show you that. But for this project, I want it at the top because I need to make a timeline. So I'm going to click on it, get my box up. I'm going to drag it up here, but I do want to make sure that I get that red line because I do want it to be centered from left to right. So now I have my red line. Let go. Now it's centered. It's a little big. I'm going to maybe do that. Maybe do this. Still, again, I want to make sure it's centered, and it is. Okay, so now I have my title. I have my background. I have my title, background, title. Next thing I want to do is pick a object to be my timeline. So here I'm going to go to insert. Again, you use insert a lot here. I want to go to shapes. Here I get a whole bunch of options for shapes. I also have arrows I could use. I have callouts, which you're going to use a lot when we get to Google Slides and you're doing the animations and you have characters talking to one another. And you have equations, which if you were doing something for math or such, you could use those. I'm just going to go back to the regular shapes. Doesn't matter to me what you use. And I'm going to pick something here that might work for a banner. Knowing what I have to do, I'm going to pick this guy. Once I get my X on the screen, I'm just going to start on the left, click, and drag, and drop. Again, just like I could up here, I'm going to go to my paint bucket, and I'm going to make it yellow to kind of pick up there. Maybe I want to make the border stand out. I can do that. I could do a dash border. I could do a line border. I could do like that. So maybe I'll leave it like, no, that's kind of busy for me. That's busy for me. So I'm just going to go back to a black line. All right. But you can play around with that, and whatever you would like to have, you may. So far, so good. Background, title, shape. Next thing I want to do is, Miss D said I have to pick 8 different things in my day. So I need to start, and I need to type what my first activity is going to be of the day. To do that, I need to add a text box. So I can either hit text box here, because in like Google Docs, there were shortcuts. You'll see there's some shortcuts along here as well too. So I can either go to text box here, or I can go to insert text box here. Either way, I get the cross on the screen. I just click, drag, and now I can type my box. I'm going to say drink coffee I'll do that at 7 o'clock. I can move this down so I can stretch it so it's all in one line. I can highlight it and come over and make it a different font. I could do this one. I could make it 24, which is a little bit big. Maybe I'll go 18. Maybe I'll bold it. Maybe I'll italicize it. Maybe I will the text color. Maybe I'll make it a dark. No, that's not going to show up. I could mess with the colors. Will it show up? I could do a dark purple. So I'm going to drink coffee at 7 o'clock. Again, once I click and I have the box, I can move it around. So I'm drinking coffee at 7 o'clock. Okay. And I told it what time. The next thing I'm going to do is find a picture, and then I'll lastly do the arrow. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do a picture. And so, again, you can do it one of two ways. Here, I can do the shortcut for the image here, or I can go insert image here. I can upload something from my computer. If I have pictures on my computer, I can search the web. I can search my Google Drive. I can search my photos. I can search by URL. If I have a webcam on my computer, I can actually just take a picture of my coffee cup. So I think I'm just going to search the web. So if I click on that, I'm going to get Google search on the side. What I'm going to do is I just need a picture of coffee. So I'm going to type in coffee, and let's see. This one just makes me happy. I think I used this in my teacher example too. Smiling face coffee. It's always good. It's going to come over here. And now I need to move it, and I don't think I want it quite that big because I still need room for my arrow. So first of all, I'm going to move it. And then second of all, I need to resize it. I want to show you one thing if you resize. If I just grab onto one of these and I click, if I pull it and don't, if I just pull it, see how distorted, if I just keep doing that, how distorted it gets is super skinny. Let me show you something. If you have the picture and I hold down the shift key and then I drag, it doesn't distort my picture because I need to shift and then move it, make it just a little bit bigger. And now it's not distorted. So if you hold down the shift key and then you drag from any side, it'll keep your picture, the dimensions of it as is, and not make it tall or skinny. If you want yours tall and skinny, that's okay too. All right, so I'm going to drink coffee at 7. Here's my happy little guy. The last thing I need to do is add an arrow, so I'm going to hit insert. I could add a line. I have arrows here and lines, so I could use an arrow here, which once I have the cross, I can just click, drag, and that's going to be the first thing on my timeline. Oops, edit, undo. Click off of that. So now I have the moving part. So if I click on it, once I have these balls on either end, the bollies, I can grab one end and I can move it this way. I can grab the other end and move it that way. I could move it up higher. Can make it shorter. So I could do that. That's the one I used in the teacher example. Let me get rid of that. Let me go to the, so it's insert, that was the arrows here. I could also go back up to shapes and use these arrows and say I want to do a block one because I want to add color. I'm all about color. Again, I could click, drag. If I make it wider, I could make it fatter and drop it. Now with this, I could go back up to my paint bucket and say I don't want white. Maybe I want a cranberry color. If I click it here, I can turn it this way, click off. I could turn it this way. Okay. If I want to make it fatter, I grab one of these sides. I can make it fatter. I can make it longer. So you can play with whatever you want, then I can move it up so it's touching my coffee cup. So that's it. From there, you're just going to do this 7 more times and tell me what your perfect day looks like. So background, title, first thing you're going to do. picture, show me where on the timeline these arrows need to be in chronological order. Other than that, it's a creative project. Have fun with it, and know that it's due Monday, which is the 17th. Oh, I know. And don't forget that, remember, how could you use this in class? If you're doing social studies or science, or you wanted to incorporate a timeline, you can see that you can make it pretty fancy, but then you could incorporate it into a Google Docs, which would be impressive as well. So play around with it, have some fun, learn what it's capable of doing, and I'm going to let you work now.